Hello, fellow seekers of truth and friends who are studying along with me the world order of Baha'u'llah. Welcome to the second video in this series that may be going on a while. If you are just joining for the first time, welcome. So glad to have you. Down below, you will find some other resources, the mission statement video for this project, last week's video, and some extra material about the Baha'i Faith, as well as a link to this document to study along. I invite you to subscribe to this channel, and if you end up liking this video, please hit the like button because it'll help more people find this. So last week we read the back jacket and the first introduction by Horace Holly, and he just really emphasized that Baha'u'llah's dispensation has brought not only a reigniting of the individual spiritual life and universal spiritual principles, but that it has also brought forth a divinely inspired system of organizing civilization, divine economy, specific institutions, that sort of thing, and that it has annulled the segregation of unto God what is God and Caesar unto Caesar, is that actually life is cohesive. And he makes the point that this is one expression of the oneness of humanity, that we don't segregate spiritual life from paying our taxes, from our job, from our social friends, our work friends, our family, our workout friends, etc. That this is the day and age, the oneness of humanity, that everything must be in alignment. And he just points out how revolutionary that is. That for the first time that we know of, that we have a divinely inspired revelation that lays this out for us. And he shares this quote, Shoghi Effendi does, at the opening: "The world's equilibrium hath been upset through the vibrating influence of this most great, this new world order." From Baha'u'llah. New is lowercase and world and order capitalized. So it is a new world order. The world's equilibrium hath been upset through the vibrating influence of this most great, this new world order. And this is Baha'u'llah's revelation has upset the world's equilibrium. So Horace Holly provides a second introduction to the 1955 edition. Now again, these letters that comprise the world order were written between 1929 and 1936. Very interesting period of time. This is after World War I. It starts right before the economic crash of 1929, and it goes up until, bordering on World War II. So it was a very heightened time in history, as I guess they all are. We're definitely living through one. But it's interesting that 17 years after the initial publication, Horace Holly writes another introduction for a later edition, and he points out that in the years since the publication, neither the disasters of the Second World War nor the increasing menace of the post-war period, which was also the pre-World War II period, can challenge Shoghi Effendi's convictions, nor invalidate his thesis, nor deny his ultimate hopes expressed in these letters written between 1929 and 1936. On the contrary, his presentation of the world mission of the Baha'i Faith acquires added force from the very failure of human philosophy and statesmanship to attain security for mankind. And how true is that? I mean, of course, true then, but true now. We've seen even more so as time has passed. The failure of human philosophy and statesmanship. How many how many systems for governance or social organization have completely backfired or failed since this time. So Shoghi Finney's presentation of the world mission of the Baha'i Faith acquires added force from the very failure of human philosophy and statesmanship to attain security for mankind. The reader has in these pages access to a public document addressed to the people of spiritual faith in all races, all nations, and all creeds. Recognition and acceptance, however, calls for an act of faith, since these basic truths has of yet no endorsement comparable in any public influence with the massive prejudices which still command the loyalty of partisan minds. And again, this is Horace Holly in 1955 stating that. The fundamental thesis developed in this work has been carried farther in two later works by the guardian of the faith. So he mentions The Advent of Divine Justice, which I also read here on YouTube. It was written in 1938 to the Baha'is of the US and Canada. And I have that whole series linked below if you'd like to read it, listen to it, and read it. And he says something right here that I think equally applies to this study. The text is intimately identified with the Baha'i community, but that community is associated with a goal representing the best interests of humanity itself. And I think that's just such a great little takeaway and thing to have in our pocket, to remember that things that feel, say, Baha'i specific, well, that the Baha'i community is associated with a goal representing the best interests of humanity. Horace Holly then cites The Promised Day is Come, written in 1941. Who knows, maybe I'll read that here after we do the world order. And also God Passes By, for anyone who really wants an in-depth reading of the history, the heroic history of the Baha'i Faith. Finally, consideration of the world order of Baha'u'llah, therefore, opens the door to the most effective expression of spiritual statesmanship available in the world today. So this document that we're reading opens the door to the most effective expression of spiritual statesmanship available in the world today. All right, with that, we're going to jump into the first section of the world order of Baha'u'llah. Again, this is 1929, February 27th. Yes, 1929, so that's 8 months before the crash. I don't know how that applies, but it's sort of interesting to keep in mind. And Shoghi Finney is actually makes some references. He's addressing some criticisms that have been hurled toward the faith from Ruth White. It's a bit of interesting history there. And he uses it as an opportunity to really elucidate and fortify the faith of believers. To the members of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada, dearly beloved co-workers, I have been acquainted by the perusal of your latest communications with the nature of the doubts that have been publicly expressed by one who is wholly misinformed as to the true precepts of the cause regarding the validity of institutions that stand inextricably interwoven with the faith of Baha'u'llah. Not that I for a moment view such faint misgivings in the light of an open challenge to the structure that embodies the faith, nor is it because I question in the least the unyielding tenacity of the faith of the American believers, if I venture to dwell upon what seems to me appropriate observations at the present stage of the evolution of our beloved cause. I am indeed inclined to welcome these expressed apprehensions, inasmuch as they afford me an opportunity to familiarize the elected representatives of the believers with the origin and character of the institutions which stand at the very basis of the world order ushered in by Baha'u'llah. We should feel truly thankful for such futile attempts to undermine our beloved faith, attempts that protrude their ugly face from time to time, seem for a while able to create a breach in the ranks of the faithful, recede finally into the obscurity of oblivion, and are thought of no more. Such incidents we should regard as the interpositions of providence designed to fortify our faith, to clarify our vision, and to deepen our understanding of the essentials of His divine revelation. So that is the intro from Shoghi Effendi to the first of these letters. I just want to dwell on this for a moment. So, as I mentioned, he's responding to an attack that the faith has received from an individual who was questioning the validity of the will and testament of Abdu'l-Baha. And obviously, the National of US and Canada has written Shoghi Effendi about this, and he's responding to it. And this is a whole attitude. It's a mindset to say, we're going to get criticisms from time to time. And if you're a Baha'i, perhaps you've heard criticisms. Maybe your friends or family members have sent criticisms your way. And he says, I take this challenge as an opportunity to fortify our faith and to clarify our vision and to deepen our understanding. He essentially says these are gifts from providence. These are interpositions of providence designed to fortify our faith, clarify our vision, and deepen our understanding of the essentials of His divine revelation. And he could have just ignored it, and he even says, that these happen from time to time and they make a ruckus and then they fade away into oblivion, which is so true. I mean, I had to do a lot of research to figure out who he was even talking about. Like, I didn't know, and obviously it was really important to the believers at that time, which is understandable, but it has become obscure. So just take that into the week, whether it's regarding your faith or maybe anything else, to remember like that symbolism of the watchman. If you're familiar with the Seven Valleys or any of my talks on that things happen to us in life collectively or in our individual lives that seem like we're chased by hounds, that seem like very bad things are happening. But to see that these are often gifts from on high that are leading us towards somewhere, whether it's a physical movement or pivot, or whether it's just an opportunity, like Shoghi Effendi's talking about, to clarify one's vision and to fortify one's faith. So that's where I will leave you here, my friends. I will be back next Friday, and we will be jumping into a section entitled Sources of the Baha'i World Order. Thank you so much. Please feel free to leave your comments. I love learning from you. Bye-bye.